Hi everyone, welcome to Communication Processes in Small Groups. I'm Dr. Laura Black, the professor for this class, and I'm looking forward to working with you all this semester. So this course is part of our online Masters in Organizational Communication and is set up to have weekly modules that involve learning material and regular assignments. And you can see those explained in the course website on the syllabus. We also have a textbook for the course, although I've posted a couple of chapters for this week because it might take you a little bit of time to get to the textbook. I will also post additional readings beyond the textbook. Each week we'll have something else that we do, sometimes academic research articles, sometimes popular press pieces, and some videos and things like this. Like all of the classes in the online MA, this is both academic and applied. So the goal of this course is to not only help you understand how to study groups and understand the communication processes that happen in groups, but also to learn to be a better group member, to be a leader and a facilitator and play the kind of roles that you want to play in groups. So I study groups, and this is one of my favorite classes to teach. We're all in groups. We have families, we have groups of friends. For many of us, our work and social lives also involve being parts of groups. So groups are just integral to our human experience. They're part of our everyday lives. That doesn't mean that we're always really great at working in groups, right? So many of us have had kind of bad experiences in groups or felt like things just didn't go the way that we wanted in groups. So this class gives you ways to understand group dynamics and practical skills such as leadership, decision making, problem solving, relationship building, conflict management, and so on, so that you can be a better group member. We'll do a team project in the class where you'll use what you're learning to collaborate with your classmates toward some sort of practical project. And we'll get started on that project later in the semester, so in a different video I'll talk more about what that's like. So this week, we're reading the first two chapters of the textbook, and I've posted PDFs of those. These chapters give you an introduction to the field of group communication. I think the chapters are pretty straightforward, but in this video, I'm going to highlight a couple of key ideas from each chapter. So one of the main ideas from the first chapter is the connection between messages, meanings, and interactions. So we communicate messages verbally and non-verbally. When I'm in a meeting and I want to share my perspective, I might raise my hand. That's non-verbally sharing a message. I might speak up, and those are also ways of expressing my message. And maybe my message is something like, I think we should get our project done by next week. So meaning is not the same as messages, because meaning is not about like the words that we're saying. It's about the understanding that people have. So meaning has to do with how we make sense of the messages we encounter. Meaning takes into account context and the perspective of other group members. So in my example, I might have an idea of what I'm trying to do with my message, but that doesn't mean other people understand it in the same way. As a communicator, I do not own the meaning. Meaning is something that is co-constructed. We do it together. We make meaning together. So even something like a misunderstanding or a conflict where we might say like, oh no, we're not on the same page, that is still the process of creating meaning. So in this example, maybe other people in the meeting understand my message as a challenge or a critique to this timeline we had before. When I said next week, I might have been thinking about Friday at 5, but someone else hears it as like Monday morning because my message was kind of vague. So to understand the meaning in this situation, we need to know more than the message. We have to understand more about the context of the group and the history and who I am and what my role is and all of this sort of stuff. So meaning making happens through interaction. So there's message, meaning, and interaction. To really understand groups, we can't just look at messages. We have a hard time getting at meaning without thinking about and looking at the back and forth communication between people. So communication scholars study meaning making by looking at the back and forth communication in groups. And that's part of what we'll do in this class. So another key idea from the first chapter is that group members have goals or things they want to do with the group. And sometimes individual goals are not the same as the group's collective goals, and sometimes they are, right? So part of being a successful group member is thinking about what are my own goals, what are your own goals, and then trying to understand the other group members' goals. Ideally, we can find ways to have the group goal include individual members' goals, but thinking about when communication is strategic, when we have goals, like what does that mean for us? So in the second chapter, we get kind of a framework for understanding what a group is. So it turns out that not all collections of people are really groups in the way that scholars understand them. All the things that we're studying in this class are specific to groups, so it's important to figure out like what characteristics make a collection of people into a group. So the reading discusses these as group size, with at least 3 people, but not too big. Interdependence, we have this kind of connection, we rely on each other. Group identity, we share this sort of sense of who we are together. There's some sort of group goal that we're kind of oriented toward, even if that's just like we're just having fun together, or we're just, part of the same family, and we have, family goals. And there's some sort of structure in a group, and that means we have roles, and maybe there's rules, and there's like, in some groups there's particular hierarchy and so on. But those characteristics are part of what help us understand what is a group, what counts as a group. So these characteristics influence how groups interact and what kind of meanings they create. And so the book defines each of these characteristics and explains why they matter for groups. And I encourage you to think about how well they map onto your own experience in groups. I know when I think about groups I participate in, like my family, like teams I'm part of at work, like committees in a community, like sports groups that I play, or even my group of friends, I can see evidence of each of these characteristics. And finally, the last key idea I want to highlight just a little bit is that communication in a group has both task and relational dimensions. So the first chapter introduces the idea that some groups are really task-oriented, like work teams, and other groups are really relationally oriented, like support groups, right? But in the second chapter, we complicate this distinction a little by describing how all groups have both task and relational dimensions. For example, even though my group of friends is mostly relational, like we're not trying to accomplish some big like specific work task or anything, we do have some tasks that we do. Like sometimes we have to plan or organize activities together, right? We have to make some decisions. So these are tasks that we accomplish even though we're mostly a relationship group. Alternatively, on teams at work, most of our communication might be task-oriented, but we also have long-standing relationships with each other, and we engage in some relational communication too. So these introductory ideas, message, meaning, and interaction, the defining characteristics of groups, and task and relational communication, those help set the stage for the rest of our work together this semester. You should also see them at play in a video that's included in this module where the speaker describes an activity he does with groups where they have to work together to build the structure out of spaghetti sticks and tape. It sounds like a very silly task, but it has some good lessons about group communication processes. So in the video, he talks about what kinds of groups are the most successful and least successful at this task. And he shows how the tips for success in this activity can actually tell us a lot about effective group processes. Okay, that's it for now. I look forward to reading your assignments for the week and getting to know you more as the semester goes on. Please reach out via email if you have questions about the course. Take a look at all of the stuff on the Blackboard page so you know how to reach me, when my office hours are, when assignments are due, how things are going to work. And I look forward to getting to know you better. All right, take care.